Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Let's proceed.
Good day, everyone. Hope you're all doing good, staying safe and healthy. I'd like to offer a warm welcome to each and every one of you who has taken time and effort to be with us here today for the 6-day Constitutional Law Lecture Series. I grant my special welcome to the patrons of today's event. Particularly, I would like to thank the Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor Dr. N.S. Santosh Kumar Sir of Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, without whom this event wouldn't have been possible at all. Unfortunately, Sir is unable to join with us today, but he has sent his best wishes for all of us. I would like to extend my hearty welcome to the Honorable Vice-Chancellor of SRM University, New Delhi, Sir, who is the keynote speaker of the day. We all welcome you, sir. I'd like to welcome the convener of today's event, Professor Dr. Reddivari Revathi ma'am, Head of the Department of Constitutional and Human Rights of our university.
Thank you.
Professor Dr. Balaji sir, Registrar in charge of our university. Welcome, sir. Respected Assistant Professor Dr. Manjula ma'am, welcome ma'am, who's also the co-convener of this event. I shall likewise offer my warm welcome to all the faculty members of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University who have joined with us here today. First, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Harini Narayanan and I'm pursuing LLM in School of Excellence in Law. My friend Ashwin and I will be co-hosting throughout this entire event. With immense pleasure, I'm happy to announce that we have got around 1,000 registrations for this massive event across India. And thank you for this overwhelming response. And if you aren't able to connect with us through this WebEx meet, I would request you to pass on the word to others as well that we'll be posting the YouTube link shortly and everyone can join with that. And conventionally, I would like to give certain instructions to the participants of this event. I request every one of you to turn off your camera and mute your mic throughout the session. And participants shall also note that e-certificates will be provided for everyone who has registered with ourselves and who's going to fill the feedback form, which will be posted in the end of session. And we request you all to stay with us till the end of the session to give your valuable feedback. And the participants may note that there will be a question and answer session at the end of this event, and you can post your questions in the chat box, which will be answered by the end by the speaker as well as possible. So let's begin today's session. The Department of Constitutional and Human Rights of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University is glad to be organizing the 6-day virtual lecture series on constitutional law. As constitutional law is the foundation of all the laws of land, the students of law need to understand the basics of it. Thus, our university is providing this virtual platform for all the young lawyers to get benefited from this. The topic for the day is structure of social justice and challenges, and the expert speaker is waiting to impart his wisdom in us. Hence, without further ado, let's initiate today's order of events. I invite Ashwin to take over the platform, please.
Thank you, Harini, for your brief introduction about our lecture series, and I deem it truly a great honor to be a part of this fascinating project of bringing together erudite scholars of our Constitution who would dispense a great deal of knowledge among us students and scholars alike. Now, without any further delay, I would love to invite the person who made this possible, and that would be, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Professor Dr. Reddivari Revathi, the HOD.
Little louder.
Can you hear me now, madam?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So I would like to invite the person behind this splendid lecture series. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you the HOD of the Department of Constitutional Law, Professor Dr. Reddivari Revathi, to give you all a warm and hearty welcome.
Thank you, Ashwin. A very warm welcome to one and all present here. Good afternoon to all. This COVID-19 is posing very many challenges, but we convert these challenges into opportunities in organizing this series of academic programs under the dynamic leadership of our Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor Dr. N.S. Santosh Kumar sir. This weekday-long constitutional lecture series is a brainchild of our Honorable Vice-Chancellor, and it is a first and foremost a lecture series program after Sir assumed his office. Today, actually, Sir has consented to inaugurate this program but due to other urgent academic and administrative assignments he has to attend to, he is unable to join us. And we, the faculty members and the student friends of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, particularly the Department of Constitutional Law, very happy to take this opportunity in organizing this week-long lecture series program by inviting legal luminaries, particularly specialists in public law across the country. And today I am very much delighted in welcoming Professor Dr. Paramjit S. Jaswal as a first speaker of this week-long series program. Professor Jaswal is presently Vice-Chancellor of SRM University, Sonepat. Sir was a former Vice-Chancellor of Rajiv Gandhi National Law University, Patiala, for the consecutive term of 9 years. Before he was elevated to the coveted position as Vice-Chancellor in RGNLU, he served as a Professor, Department of Law, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Professor is a recipient of Fulbright Scholar. And Madam Nishita Jaswal, none other than wife of Professor Jaswal, is also Vice-Chancellor of Himachal Pradesh National Law University. Together with his best half, both the Professor Jaswal and Madam Jaswal became the first couple to be Vice-Chancellors of 2 national law universities at the same time. Sir, we are very happy to hear this, sir. And a professor is having a long innings of teaching experience as well as researcher too. He authored very number of books, particularly one of his pioneering works on environmental law, which was referred by Supreme Court on very many occasions. His writings were quoted by various judges in couple of occasions. He also contributed to the law relating to preventive detention and human rights law. He also authored a book and lot of articles published in various legal journals, and proved himself as a good researcher, produced so many PhD scholars. And he has a long list to his credit. Sir, on behalf of Tamil Nadu Ambedkar Law University and on behalf of Honorable Vice-Chancellor particularly, I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir, to this lecture series program as a first speaker. And we are very much delighted to hear you, sir, on the topic of structure of social justice and challenges. And I am very much delighted to welcome Professor Dr. Balaji, a beloved registrar of our university and a multi-talented personality, a very cool, ever-smiling person. And I am very thankful to you, sir, for graciously consenting to deliver inaugural address today's program. A warm welcome to you, sir. And I am very happy to welcome Director Legal Studies, Government of Tamil Nadu, principals of various government colleges, Government of Tamil Nadu, and various faculty members across the country, particularly Tamil Nadu government colleges. Welcome to all. And I especially welcome our Controller of Examination, Dr. R. Srinivasan. Though he is not in the department for the time being because of his administrative position as a controller, but as a part of the department, always he is helping hand, including this week-long program. I welcome you, Dr. Srinivasan. And I am very happy to welcome all the directors, the Director PG courses, Dr. Kumudaratna, Director Research and Publications, Dr. Harita Devi, and all my beloved HODs of various departments. Sir, we have 9 PG departments and one more is on pipeline, and one other interdisciplinary department we have in our university. Each and every department is headed by a respective specialists. I welcome all the HODs faculty members, and my dear student friends. I specially welcome the student coordinators, Ms. Harini and Mr. Ashwin Suren, who are the real heroes of this event, relentlessly working for the past 10 days for organizing this event, without whose help today we are not here. A welcome, special welcome to you, both of you. I welcome to each and everyone who have joined us today. Welcome you all. And without taking much time, we are very eager to listen to our eminent speaker. With this, I thank the organizers for providing me the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you very much. Over to Ashwin.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your warm words of welcome. And I suppose modesty forbids us from taking any credit for this program. You've certainly spearheaded this along with the Honorable Vice-Chancellor. I thank you so much, ma'am, once again for your warm words of welcome. I deem it a pleasure and an honor to invite our next speaker, Professor Dr. Balaji, the Honorable Registrar of Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, to inaugurate this august assembly today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ashwin. Am I audible? Clear?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very good afternoon to one and all. The lecture series today on constitutional law is a very apt one at this point of time, where
Ashwin, I think he has lost the contact.
Yes, I think there's some network issues. I'll just try contacting him, sir.
yes, I will come back. No, I have to come back. There is this. It's actually repeating.
Yeah, now you are audible.
He's just joining back, sir.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry,
Welcome back, sir.
sorry. Time I apologize for the technical issues. Anyway, at the outset, let me congratulate the team uh, who has actually taken a step to conduct this program. Madam Reddy Varadhi Madam, and the co-conveners are Dr. Elumalai, Dr. Manjula, and Mr. Jay Ganesh, and
Yes, there is an internet issue.
is that okay, sir?
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir. But
Yeah, is that okay?
yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. So I hope I'm coming from mobile. I don't think so. It will let us down. And Professor Paramjit Jaswal is already here. And the other resource persons are Professor S.K. Bhatnagar, Professor Sridhar Acharyalu, and Professor G.B. Reddy, and Professor V. Vijay Kumar, our former Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Girish Kumar. I greet all of them, and I have taken. I'm really happy that Madam has taken keen interest. The stalwarts who are there, who wanted to. She has chosen the best people to enlighten about this Indian Constitution. The lecture series on Indian Constitution. I do have a very affinity towards the Indian Constitution, where my specialization is also international constitutional law. Where when I was teaching, I used to talk a lot about Indian Constitution as a living document. It's a vibrant and dynamic, and it take care of the needs of the society, where the founding fathers are really toiled to brought this masterpiece into the Indian soil. No doubt it has been taken from different constitution, but the framers of the constitution has taken a step further, and they have brought in this. They adopted, no doubt, but they adapted to the situation of our country, and it's still working very good. And understanding the constitution is really an art, and interpretation of the constitution to its very much basic or essential need is one of the important elements, where the social justice as a silver line thread is running across the document, the Indian Constitution, where it has passed several tests from this point of time, where almost 70 years have gone, and it has also proven the test of the Keshav and the Bharati case, and it's been going on. And I just want a few things to be enlightened to the students or the faculty members who are watching the program. It's about the freedom of speech and the limitation. That's what right now we have a very hot topic which has been going on, that actually lands up into a cause of sedition. So this is now highlighted by many academicians, and it's a good area where we can analyze, threadbare, and to find out proper solutions. And the complete justice has also been taken up by the Supreme Court in many cases, is also to be dwelled upon. And the constitutional morality is also one of the key area that I believe that the speakers will have a word about it. So with these few things, I don't want to take much time. So on behalf of the Vice-Chancellor and also behalf of me, I wish this program a successful one. And I once again greet and wish the resource persons, the organizers, and all the participants who will be enjoying the 6-day program thoroughly. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for gracing the occasion and giving us the inaugural address. We understand that having a webinar online has its own perennial issues, and we all wish that this could be done practically, but the situation did not give us the opportunity. Thank you once again, Professor Dr. Balaji, for gracing our occasion. I would now hand over the rostrum to my co-host Harini to welcome our guest.
Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you. Now we shall move on to the moment we have been waiting for, the keynote speech on structure of social justice and challenges. Social justice is the foundation stone of Indian Constitution. It is guaranteed in our Constitution right from its preamble. Therefore, Indian Constitution and social justice cannot be separated. The expert speaker is waiting to give a detailed lecture on this. I considered it as my honor and a privilege to introduce the distinguished speaker of the day, none other than the Honorable and esteemed Professor Dr. Paramjit Singh Jaswal, sir. As our respected speakers rightly pointed out, Sir's contribution to the field of law is plentiful. I sincerely welcome you, sir, to give us a lecture on the topic and impart us with your vast wisdom. We cannot wait to hear from you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Harini. Honorable Brother Vice-Chancellor, Professor Dr. N.S. Santosh, Professor Revati, Professor Balaji, the Honorable Registrar, other faculty members, Harini and Ashwin, and all dear students and participants who are on the platform. I can see the figure is increasing by leaps and bounds and reached already the 385. A very good response. It was about a fortnight back when I got a call from Professor Revati asking me to deliver a lecture on the Constitution in this series, and rather to start with the first lecture. I was in a fix for many, many reasons, though I was very busy with some other administrative work, but I have a special affiliation with the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University. I have been there a number of times. The previous Vice-Chancellor, Professor Vijay Kumar, T.S.N. Shastri, and others, they have been all a good friend of mine. And above all, Professor Revati is also a very dear friend and a very dear colleague of both myself and my wife. So I couldn't say no. When it came to selecting a topic, I left it to Professor Revati to select the topic and let me know, because Constitution is very dear to my heart. In fact, it is my first love. So the topic which is given to me is the structure of social justice and challenges, which is a very wide topic and very difficult to cover in 1 hour duration. Already, I think 26 minutes have gone in the introduction part, but I'll try to cover as much as it is possible. Harini very rightly said that social justice is the foundation of the Constitution and starts right from the preamble. If we see in the preamble, we find a reference to the social justice also, and the entire Constitution is in fact focused on social justice in one way or the other. But we must at the very outset understand some of the basic features of the Constitution. Constitution of any country is a fundamental law of the land, and Indian Constitution is not an exception. It is a living and dynamic document which keeps on evolving from time to time. And the rule of law runs like a golden thread through the entire fabric of the Constitution. When I look at the topic, that is the structure of the social justice and the challenges, then I have to peep deep into the functioning of the Constitution, how the constitutional law has evolved, or to what extent or where do we stand as far as the constitutionalism in India is concerned. If I see the rule of law, the position today in the countries, we stand at 69th position out of 128 countries as per the World Justice Report of 2020. That shows that despite the fact that we have one of the best constitutions of the world, and when I said, and I repeat at the cost of repetition, that the rule of law runs like a golden thread through the entire fabric of the Constitution, why do we stand at 69th position, which is not a very happy position? Not only that, if we see the World Happiness Report of 2020, India is ranking at 144 out of 156 countries surveyed by the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network. And it may be surprising for you to know that our immediate neighbor, Pakistan, is much ahead of us when we talk about a World Happiness Report of 2020. The rank of Pakistan is 66th. What is the reason for that? Does it mean that when we talk about social justice, there is no social justice? Does it mean that Pakistan is having a better constitution or a better social justice concept? To answer these, some of the questions, let us first understand what does our constitution say about the social justice. And depending upon the time, in the end, I'll talk about some of the challenges, and some of the challenges I shall also take during the discussion period also. Right in the preamble, we say, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into sovereign socialist democratic republic and to secure all its citizens the justice, which includes all three kinds of justices: justice social, political, and economic, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. That is what our preamble says. Now, the very opening word, we the people, that says that this constitution was never thrusted upon us. We adopted it. We ourselves gave this constitution to ourselves. But the biggest challenge today is, are we together as we? If I can quote within the inverted comma, we, the answer is certainly no. Today, we stand divided into I and they. When it comes to my rights, I say these are my rights. I have this, these, and this right. And I pinpoint a finger to others, they say they have the duty. Whereas the Constitution never anticipated that. Constitution of India adopted a mixed kind of a socialism. Gandhian socialism as well as the Marxist socialism, the combination of the two. If I have to explain in simple words, what is the meaning of socialist state? The meaning is where the state provides the security to the citizens from cradle to grave. The responsibility is of the state as defined under Article 12 and Article 36 of the Constitution to ensure that each one of us, we, I repeat once again, not differentiating between I and they, we are on equal footing. We are equal. Equality before law is one of the very important facets of the rule of law. Though the word rule of law is not mentioned in the Constitution of India, but for any nation which has a very sound constitutionalism, the rule of law is very, very essential. The four pillars which are mentioned in the preamble, to which I refer to, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. In the very first pillar, you find that justice we are talking about of all three kinds. Justice, social, economic, and political. And when we want to ensure justice, social, economic, and political to all the people, we must have equality among the individual. But India is having a diverse culture, huge population. Each one of us is not equally placed. There is a clear-cut divide between the rich and the poor, between different classes of people, and to ensure equality in substance is a daunting task. We can make classification under Article 14 of the Constitution, which talks about equality before law. We have other constitutional provisions in Article 15, 16, 17, 18, which all are related to right to equality in one sense or the other, without distinguishing between the people on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. But despite that, because of the different reasons, including economic disparity, social disparity, the people are not equal. But the framer of the Constitution had in mind that when independent India will have its own constitution, we will strive hard to ensure social justice and equality in substance to all the people of the country. Much before the framing of the Constitution, when there was a demand for the independence, there was a demand that whenever we will become independent nation, we should have civil and political right as well as social, economic rights and cultural rights as well. And that is how, when the framing of the Constitution was underway, the Part 3 and Part 4, which were earlier in the same part, they were divided. Part 3 dealing with the civil and political rights to what we call fundamental rights, and Part 4, what we call social and economic rights. If you see on other aspects of the preamble, for example, sovereignty. Sovereignty is when we consider ourselves as the supreme. We are above all, and no nation can guide us, no nation can give us direction. But today, are we really sovereign in the real sense? Again, there are people amongst us, that is the challenge before us, because I'm taking the challenges simultaneously. There are people amongst us who are saying, we want azadi, ye desh ke tukde tukde. Who are they? Are they not we? Are we talking about the social justice by dividing the people I and they? If we are an independent sovereign nation, then why azadi? Azadi from whom? Are we still under the British rule, or are we under some other foreign ruler? If we not, then why we the people are saying azadi tere tukde tukde? Azadi chahiye. We want freedom. In fact, the people of the country are today confused, pardon me for saying so, between the two terms, or understanding the meaning of the two terms, freedom and liberty. Under the garb of liberty, we try to attain the license to speak anything and everything without caring about our brothers and sisters whom we promised under the Constitution of India to provide social justice. Why division was made between Part 3 and Part 4 of the Constitution? Because the framer of the Constitution thought that there are certain civil and political rights which must be ensured to the people of the country immediately. They cannot be derogated. even for a second, and all people should have those rights immediately at the commencement of the Constitution. And we should not forget, right to equality was and still there as a part of our fundamental rights. The social and economic rights ensuring social justice to the people are also equally important. But because our economy was shattered, the Britishers had exploited us to the maximum possible extent during the British rule. There were difficulties in ensuring social equality to everybody, social justice to everybody. Therefore, the government was directed to follow certain policies which are aimed to secure social justice to the people of the country. I'll draw the attention of the participants to the language of Article 37 and 38 of the Constitution. If you understand these two articles, you will understand the concept of the social justice and the real challenges which we have. Article 37 provided that the provisions contained in this part means in part 4 of the Constitution, shall not be enforceable by any court. Shall not be enforceable by any court, I lay emphasis. Why? Because at the commencement of the Constitution, we were not in a position to secure these some of the basic social and economic rights which are very essential to ensure social justice to the people. But the importance of these principles or the social justice lie in the second part of Article 37, which says, but the principles contained therein are nevertheless fundamental in the governance of the country. I ask anybody and everybody here, can we say that fundamental rights, which are the rights of the individual, are they more important than the rights which are fundamental in the governance of the country? So the entire part 4 of the Constitution dealing with social and economic rights was declared to be fundamental in the governance of the country. And the last part of Article 37 provides, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in the making of laws. Meaning thereby that in future, whenever the state makes any law, lay down any policy, take any executive decision, then whatever are the guidelines of the direction which are mentioned in part 4 of the Constitution, they are to be kept in mind. The challenge before us is, have we made our policies in accordance with these directive principles? I'll be referring to some of the socio-economic principles where we have totally failed and failed miserably. In fact, the Constitution has never failed us. We have failed the Constitution because we have failed to travel on the wavelength of the constitutional spirit. Professor Balaji mentioned to one of the challenges, that is the morality of the Constitution. I would take that very statement a step forward, that there is a morality of the provision of the socio-economic rights contained in part 4 of the Constitution. Have we understood that morality? Have we functioned in accordance with that morality? That is the biggest challenge. The concern of the founding fathers to the social justice or providing social justice to all the people was so much that Article 38 in unequivocal terms says that state shall strive to promote the welfare of the people. The thrust of this provision is of welfare of the people. How the welfare of the people is to be promoted? By securing and protecting as effectively as it may a social order in which social justice, economic justice, and political justice shall inform all the institutions of national life. It is not in one aspect. The social justice is to be provided in all forms, and it should inform all institutions of national life. And it further says, the second part, which was added, the second clause in 1978 by 44th Amendment of the Constitution, the state shall in particular strive to minimize the inequalities in the income, because if there is an inequality, it is based on economic consideration in income, then we cannot have the social justice. And endeavor to eliminate inequality in status. And see, go back to the preamble. Equality of status and opportunity talked about. I refer to that. That is reinforced in Article 38, Clause 2. Facilities and the opportunities not only amongst the individual, but also amongst the group of people residing in different areas, engaged in different vocations. Article 14 permits classification. The basis of that is that unequal cannot be grouped equally. Equality has to be among the equal. But then when we group the people into different classes, that classification has to be reasonable. That classification must have a rational relation with the object sought to be achieved. Are we today having that classification on a reasonable basis? Are we really having the rational relationship with the object which is sought to be achieved by making the classification? Those are the challenges which we have to discuss. Be it a classification on social stratification, be it the classification on economic consideration, be it a classification on political consideration. Unless we meet this twin test of reasonableness of classification and rational relation with the object sought to be achieved, it is contrary to the rule of law. And probably we have failed on these two counts, and that is why we are ranking so low on the index of rule of law to which I referred to in the beginning. When the Constitution of India came into force, one of the major challenges which the first government of the country took on its shoulder was to provide social justice to the people by bringing agrarian reforms. Because there were people in India which had very large landholding, and there were many people who did not have even 1 square feet of a land to sit or to stand of their own. There were many people who migrated from the territory now in Pakistan, which was British Indian Empire, to India, and they had no land, no land anywhere in the country. So therefore, when they started bringing the agrarian reform, they made different laws to acquire the property. And that time, the right to property was a fundamental right under Article 19(1)(f) along with Article 31 of the Constitution. And the courts in India were flooded with the litigation that how can the government acquire our property and give it to somebody else? The conflict was between fundamental right to property and the policy of the government to provide social justice by agrarian reform, by having equal distribution to the people. This battle continued for a long time till the right to property was removed as a part from Part 3 as a fundamental right, and it was taken to Article 300A as a constitutional right. And during this period, but that happened only in 1978. Now, this 28 years long period saw a large number of questions arising that if the state, whether the state has the power to acquire the property of the individual for public purposes or not, and if it has the power, how much compensation to be paid. Then Article 39 talked about other kind of social equality. It says the state shall in particular direct its policies toward securing that citizens, men and women, equally have the right to adequate means of livelihood. A very important provision. Today, thanks to our judiciary, which has given a very, very expensive meaning to the fundamental right to life and liberty. Today, you talk about any right under the sky or under the sun, you can interpret that as a part of Article 21 of the Constitution, including right to earn livelihood. The Olga Talley's case of 1986 of Bombay Payment Dweller case went to the extent of saying that right to life comes later. First of all, the people have the right to earn livelihood. But how they are earning the livelihood on the payments? What is the protection we have provided or the state has provided to them when there is the onslaught of the monsoon in the month of July and August? We have to think about all these people, and we are talking about right to have an adequate means of livelihood. Are we all having adequate means of livelihood? Today, after 70 years after the commencement of the Constitution, there is a large number of people who do not have the adequate means of livelihood. India has seen last year onwards, when COVID-19 pandemic was posing a threat to the country and other nations as well, how the laborers working from different states to other states, they left their place of work, and how some of them, when they started going to their home, they could not even reach home. State even could not provide them a safe passage. Many of them, they died of hunger. We are talking about social justice. Are they equal to those who own the industries? And that is where Clause B of Article 39 says that ownership and control of the material resources of the community are so distributed so as to best to serve the common good. Today, is the ownership and control of the material resources are distributed equally? We know it's an open secret that major resources, the natural resources of the country, are controlled by few individuals. They are not equally distributed. This is what the Constitution did not want. The Constitution wanted they should be equally distributed, so as to subserve the common good. And the further clause C says the operation of the economic system should not result in the concentration of wealth and the means of production to the common detriment. So in the few hands, the concentration of the wealth should not be there. But today, if we have to ask how many crorpatis are there in India, you can count them. How many poor people who do not have the accounts in the bank, what to talk about having a lakhs of rupees or hundreds of thousands of rupees. Today, in the different states, the migratory labor in particular, that they are fighting for roti, kapda, and makan. They are not sure about what is going to happen the next moment. Whenever any national disaster by way of pandemic or rain or earthquake comes, how many people they lose their household and they do not have the place to cover their head or clothes to cover their body. And can we say that we have provided social justice to the people? Article 39, Clause D provided that there is equal pay for equal work for both men and women. But as students of law, you have studied many cases where 39D is violated. Till in 80s, from Ranveer Singh case onwards, the Supreme Court said equal pay for equal work is to be treated as a part of Article 16 of the Constitution and hence enforceable. Otherwise, even we have examples before us where government, which should function like a model employer, did not provide equal pay for equal work for both men and women. The case of Bombay stenographer is a very much interesting case to the students of law, that how female stenographer were paid less because the government said that because they have to go on leave, they have to go early, they take maternity leave, and therefore there is a loss of working hour to the government. So such kind of disparity, they still exist. There was a special focus in Article 39 of the Constitution in Clause E and F. The Clause E talked about that health and strength of the workers, men and women, and the tender age of children should not be abused, and the citizen should not be forced because of economic necessity. I re-emphasize, should not be forced by economic necessity to enter a vocation unsuited to their age and strength. The Asiad worker case of 1982 is the best example how the poor workers coming from Madhya Pradesh, UP and Bihar to Delhi just before the Commonwealth Games, which were to be held for construction of stadia and the flyovers in Delhi, they were paid much less than the minimum wage. Is the payment of the minimum wage or the reasonable wage not a part of the social justice? Are we ensuring today when we giving it to, there are laws, but whether there is the execution of laws in a proper way? When we are making the payment to the contractor, the government in many ways they makes the full payment to the contractor, but the contractor makes it a subcontractor and subcontractor, further subcontractor, and ultimately the labor gets much less than the minimum wage. The government has taken the positive step by enacting a law, Minimum Wages Act. And now the new labor code is coming into existence very shortly, and it is focused on the social security of the workers. But it has taken 70 years, and so far we cannot say that each worker gets the minimum wage. That is the biggest challenge. With regard to our young population of the country, children, the last clause said the children are given opportunity and facilities to develop in a healthy manner and in conditions of freedom and dignity, and that childhood and youth are protected against exploitation and against moral and material abandonment. Despite the fact we have even a fundamental right under Article 24 of the Constitution, which prohibits the employment of children in avocation and industries which are hazardous in nature. But it is an open secret, and we can see even while traveling by train or by bus or by our own vehicle, how many children are working in the local dhabas and local shops which are along the road. Are they not entitled to social justice? Is it not a challenge for us that those small, lovely hands, they should be in the school rather than those dhabas cleaning utensils and working as household servants with most of our rich class of the people? That is the challenge. Who comes to our house to clean daily in the morning? Who cleans our utensils? Who looks after our inner work of the house? Either the poor ladies living adjoining to the wealthy settlement and the children who are there. One of the very important facets of social justice is to have justice. Justice is a very important component of the constitutional principles. But forget about the pandemic period when the judges are still working from home or offices and online. Are we able to secure justice to all the people? nothing rankles more in the human mind than the sense of injustice. But justice has become so costly. Me and you may be able to approach the court because we can afford to pay the fee of a lawyer. The poor people is fighting for his one-day meal, clothes to cover his body, a small shelter to cover the head. Can he afford a lawyer? Where is the social justice? We introduced in 1976 by 42nd Amendment, Article 39, capital A, which talks about equal justice and free legal aid. Government has taken the steps to establish the legal aid cells in the Supreme Court, in the High Court, and in the district courts. In pursuance of that, Legal Subsidies Authority Act has also been enacted by the government, and Lok Adalats are held from time to time. But there are only 2-3 kinds of cases which are settled in Lok Adalats. And most of these cases are insurance cases or motor accidental cases, and in some cases they are matrimonial cases. With regard to other cases, the outcome of the legal aid cells or the Lok Adalats has been not very, very encouraging. That is a very big challenge before us. If we want to ensure social justice to all the people, then the justice should be within the easy reach of each one of us, which is a very, very distant dream. It is not possible for me to discuss each and every directive principle in detail. I'll just refer to one or two. When we talk about living wage or the minimum wage, there is Article 43, which talks about that state should endeavor to secure suitable legislation and economic organization or in any other way to all the workers, agricultural or industrial or otherwise, work in a living wage. What to talk about living wage? The government revises the pay of its employees, and it takes almost 5 to 7 years for implementation. Let me take an example. The 7th Pay Commission was there, which revised the pay of the government employees from 2016. There are still states in India, like Punjab or Haryana, or there are other states also, where the 7th Pay Commission scales are yet to be implemented. In the same state, if you are from a central government, you are getting a 7th Pay Commission pay scale. If you are from state government, you are getting the 6th Pay Commission. Why can't we have a uniform structure? Why can't it be implemented at the same time? And when it comes to payment of arrear, the government says the government doesn't have the money, so arrear will not be paid. What happens to those 5 or 7 years when you were entitled to that revised pay, but it is not there? On the social front, Article 44 talks about uniform civil code. Right from 1950s onwards, through Shah Bano case or Sarla Mudgal case, the Supreme Court has reminded the state of its duty to enact a uniform civil code. But we have failed to enact a uniform civil code for the people of India. If in Goa there can be a uniform civil code, which is a part of India, why can't there be a uniform civil code in other parts of the country? Uniform civil code, as it is misunderstood by many of us, does not mean the application of Hindu code to all the people in matrimonial matters or other civil matters. It is open for us to take the best part of the law from all the religion. India is a secular state, but we still find there is a forcible conversion. Today, still we find the divide of the society on the basis of caste, religion. Where is the secularism? Why can't we have the uniform civil code and all are governed by the same code? If this was the mandate of the Constitution, the state shall endeavor to secure for the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. Then why it is not done even after 70 years of the commencement of the Constitution? Thanks to the pragmatic approach of the judiciary, they have declared the triple talaq as unconstitutional, bringing some sort of parity of the Muslim women to the other as compared to their counterparts of belonging to other religion. Thanks to the judiciary in India, they made applicable application of section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code with regard to maintenance to even Muslim women. They say it is a secular provision and it is applicable to all the women irrespective of the religion to which they belong. One of the most important feature to which I would like to make a little references with regard to have-nots, that how they should be uplifted so as to bring them at par with those who are already advanced. The Constitution of India in Part 3 contained certain provisions, Article 15 and 16, providing for, or these are the enabling provision which provide for reservation in admissions as well as in employment. We must understand that social justice, when we talk through reservation, then reservation are of three types. One is in educational sector, other is in employment sector, and the third is the political reservation. Political reservation is that there are certain seats for the assemblies and in the parliament election which are reserved for the scheduled caste or the scheduled tribe. Originally speaking, this political reservation was only for 10 years. It was thought that the people from scheduled caste and scheduled tribe reserved constituency will be elected amongst them, and they would be able to present before the state assembly or with the parliament the real difficulty they are facing, so that suitable legislation can be enacted to undo the social injustice which is being caused to them. But as a political strategy, this period from 10 years has been regularly increased right up to now 2030. Why it has been done? If you have not been able to draw the attention for the people living in these reserved constituencies for 70 years, how long you will carry on this reservation? The reservation for educational institutions as well as the employment, there was neither any time limit nor there is a time limit even today. We must understand the distributive justice and affirmative action. The students of law, I would request you, as a student of law myself, please read the judgment of Justice Ravindran Bhatt in Maratha reservation case recently. He has beautifully tried to distinguish the distributive justice, affirmative action, and the reservation, that these all three things are different. If we want the poor people to come up, what we should do is we should provide them facilities at the school level. We should provide them facilities in the form of scholarship, books, residences, and bring them at par with the other better half of the society who can afford the costly education. Today, the rich people are giving education to their children in private schools, in Christian schools. They don't put their children, most of them, in the government schools. Who studies in the government school? The poor children. And the government schools do not have appropriate infrastructure. I would draw your attention to Article 46 of the Constitution, which provided that the state shall promote with special care educational and economic interest of the weaker section of the people, and in particular the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and shall protect them from all forms of social injustice and all forms of exploitation. Today, it's an open secret that almost in all the states of India, there are thousands of vacancies of the school teacher which are lying vacant. The schools do not have the proper infrastructure. Some schools even do not have the infrastructure for proper sitting of the teachers. Then can we talk about a quality education? Where is the quality education? The quality education is totally missing when we talk about these schools which are there. For any nation to grow, two factors must be taken into consideration. One is right to education, and other is right to health. The state of primary education in different states is very bad. During pandemic, along with the other sectors, the teachers took the responsibility on their shoulder to provide education through online courses, online teaching. But did we evaluate the very fact that nearly 78% of our schools in India are not having the internet facility? 68% of our schools do not have our computers. Thus, the digital divide reflected India's inequality and insensitivity to providing a social justice. Only 34% of the students could take online education as far as the schools are concerned. People are residing in far-flung areas where there is no internet facility available. Prime Minister himself last year mentioned that we will connect around 6 lakh villages with optical fiber in 1,000 days. That is an acknowledgement of the fact that we are not connected by the optical fiber so as to have online education. If we are concerned with the social justice, the biggest challenge is to create that infrastructure and ensure that the quality education is provided to all the children. Even the higher education in India or the higher education system in India is far below as compared to the world standard. When it comes to right to health, we have learned a lesson. In fact, this small micro corona has taught us that howsoever wealthy we may be, howsoever mighty power we may call ourselves, but even a small micro can create a turmoil in our lifestyle. There are examples when the second wave of corona was there in April 2021. We were more focused on elections, holding political rallies, rather than ensuring oxygen and the vaccine to the people. How many people who were there in the political rallies, how they were asked to come in the hundreds and thousands? I think I need not to vomit it out. You know it very well. Only the rich could afford the health facility, and the poor, it was a distant dream. In fact, there was a policy paralysis in this as far as the government was concerned, because it was not the bad intention. The political process must continue. The election must be held. But it was the question of priority. it is not that it was only politicians or the politics. Even on the religion basis, we had a Kumbh Mela, there were sadhus, they were together. The press did not respond many a time. The judiciary had to give the direction. Now, many murders took place in allowing the election rallies during the COVID pandemic. All those things happened. We totally forgot about what to talk about social justice, a justice in generic sense. So we had to think about seriously how we can provide affirmative action, through the affirmative action, the distributive justice to the people. It is a serious concern. The large number of population are poor. Unless they have the quality education, we can't elevate them to come and compete with the best of those who get the opportunity to have the best of the education. But that can be done in different ways. We have to improve the standard of living as well as the public health of the people. In order to ensure social justice, there is another very important aspect where India has taken a lead through the judicial intervention as also otherwise, and that is nothing but the environment protection. India is basically, traditionally speaking, sometimes called a pollution-loving country, but the fact is otherwise. We worship our trees. Our different religion, they talk about the safe and a healthy environment in one sense or the other. But we have to see that the natural resources are not exploited by the have-nots or by the rich people to become more and more rich, and equality and the social justice is provided to all the persons. Today what we need, that we have to focus on the constitutional principles of social justice. We need a strong nation on the bedrock of the Constitution, upholding the rule of law and happiness, where there is a fragrance everywhere of the preambular promises of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity, upholding the unity and integrity of the nation. And they are realized in true sense so that every citizen of this great nation holds his head high without any fear and enjoy the dignity using full potential and has a clear mind and breathe the clean air. If this is done, then the dream of social justice will become a true reality in the future. But as a citizen of India, I'm confident our government will focus more. It has been focusing, it has taken many steps, but still more is required to be done to provide social justice to the people. Challenges, the major challenges are two. If we overcome these two challenges, we will overcome other challenges with ease, which I repeat at the cost of repetition. These two major challenges are quality education, right from primary education to the higher education, and quality health facility to all, irrespective of economic status of the person. I think I must put a full stop here because Harini announced in the beginning that there will be some questions also. There are 13 minutes left before I wind up my lecture. So I will be available online to answer the question which anyone of you want to ask. Thank you very much for being with me for about 1 hour. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful session.
Thank you.
An enlightening session, sir, really.
Thank you, sir. And certainly it has been a very splendid session. You've given us a broad overview of the preamble of our Constitution and how the key postulates and principles that have been enshrined in the preamble have a deeper connection with the fundamental rights and especially the directive principles of state policy, which are essential to guard and secure the people of our nation with justice. You clearly mentioned that distributive justice must be complemented with an affirmative action in order to make sure that people are, are, are receiving and have been rendered justice. And in order to quote you once, sir, you said that we need to travel at the constitution, the wavelength of the constitutional spirit, which is a very substantial statement, sir, which encompasses what you've just been talking about. And at the end, you highlighted the importance of quality education and quality health, upon which we've had a lot of questions from the audience. And I would just like to pose a few questions to you, sir, and I request you to please answer them quite briefly so that we can maintain the time limit. And as you see, we've received an overwhelming amount of questions, and I have nowhere to begin with. So I shall start with a question from Mrs. Shweta Tambade. She said that even though there have been many legislations to stop exploitation and many other such issues, what do you think lies a gap between implementation of these legislations and of these principles, and how will we be able to achieve?
After going
the basic, that is what I was trying to say, that it is not that the government has not taken any steps. Government has made certain legislation, but the implementation is again, there is no God will come to implement. Who is at the seat of implementation? One of us or few of us who are in that position. So if we have the will to implement, we can implement, but we have not been able to implement the policies which were required to be implemented.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We have one of our professors who would like to pose a question to you. I just unmute him. He is over here. Sir, you can unmute yourself, Dr. Elimalai.
Actually, I don't think he can unmute himself.
Is it audible now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Sir, sir, I had a very excellent speech from you, Honorable Vice-Chancellor, sir.
Thank you.
I would like to ask you only one question about a judgment which you have quoted from the Honorable Judge Sri Ravindra Bhatt.
Right.
Sir, this is about the judgment delivered by Justice Ravindra Bhatt. Reservation in the Marathwa case, actually, sir.
Yes.
Sir, we know whenever there is a reservation to be granted for the OBCs, whether it is in Indra Sagani case or Marathwa case, the Supreme Court first it has stayed. Whereas in the economically weaker section, nothing has been done. It is admitted they are educationally forward, but we are giving reservation to them even in education system. Forget about employment. Sir, after this EWS reservation system, more than 97% of the population of India has been brought into the reservation system. So do you mean that still reservation will provide social justice, or it providing social injustice, sir? I leave it to your good sense. Thank you, sir.
I think if you listen to my statement carefully, your questions stand answered there. I said there is the difference between reservation, distributive justice, and affirmative action. When I referred to Ravindra Bhatt, I did not even talk about whether Maratha reservation was right or wrong. I just referred to Ravindra Bhatt that he has beautifully distinguished between these three concepts. Ravindran Bhatt judgment says reservation is not the panacea for the ills of inequality and social injustice. Ravindran Bhatt judgment said that yes, we are concerned with social have-nots, We are concerned with the have-nots. They need to be elevated from their backward status, but through the modem of distributive justice and affirmative action schemes. I'm not talking about the economically weaker section on the reservation issue or the quantum of reservation. That is the separate topic which we can take some time separately. I'll be too happy to deliver a lecture on that too. My reference to Rabindran Bhatt was only to the extent of at one place you find difference, elaboration, what is distributive justice, what is affirmative action, and what is reservation. That was the reference.
Right, sir. We've had overwhelming amount of questions with regard to.
Somebody has put it also that they said Jashri Lakshman Patil versus the Chief Minister and other civil appeal 3123 of 2020. That is the name of this case.
Yes, sir. And I think we've had a few questions with regard to the LGBTQ rights. That even though we've decriminalized Section 377, there's not been any affirmative action to render justice to the people of the LGBTQ community. What is your opinion on that, sir?
If these rights were given in the last century, I would have taken another stand. But with the progressive society in the 21st century, I say, yes, they are a part of us. The Supreme Court has done a yeoman service by recognizing their rights. But the rights are recognized only in theory. The mindset of the people is yet to change. And there comes the role of education. There comes the role of education. That is what I say today. We find that the people, even educated, they do not understand about the rights of others. That is what I was talking about in the very beginning. The Constitution starts we the people, and we are not together. We are divided into I and they. I have right, but they, being LGBT, do not have the right. They are also people. They are also part of us. So we should not have the divide between I and they. I have the right and they have the duty. No, not at all.
Right. And also with regard to social justice, as we were discussing a lot about reservation, there have been many questions with regard to should we shift this reservation policy from being a from being a sort of an affirmative action for socially unequal people to economically unequal people. That is, bring in more reservations for economically backward rather than those being social backward. That is what many of us have been asking.
Again, I go back. Justice Ravindran Bhatt has provided that reservation is not the method of uplifting. If that was so, then the percentage of have-nots should have decreased, because the reservation has been right from 1950. But the data shows it other way. It has increased. Even among them, that better half among the poor people, those who got the reservation, then their progeny, they have got the benefit. Rather than what should be there, that we should follow affirmative action, class affirmative action theory. Through that, say, for example, let me compare myself with Ashwin, right? Ashwin belongs to a rich class, I belong to a poor class. Your parents or you can afford any private school or a legal education in any national law university. I can't afford even a primary education. If both of us, we are in the primary school, and I'm provided all the facilities by way of affirmative action, free hostel, free books, free clothing, free uniform, and my tuition fee is also waived, and I'm able to study with you in the same environment, in the same hostel. I compete with you. Where is the question of this? If you see even the reservation, whether we accept it or not, though the scheduled caste is not a caste, scheduled tribes is not a caste. They are the group of people who are historically, economically, and socially exploited in the past when the British Empire was there. That social and economic exploitation continued even after the independence in some of the cases. But by and large, when we talk about these classes, they are identified, and the Supreme Court has justified that these classes can be identified on the basis of caste as well. So how long we will continue the classification on caste? So that is why I did not express my view on 102nd Amendment of the Constitution with regard to Maratha reservation, etc. My reference to Ravindran Bhatt judgment was only to the extent to understand these three concepts. To answer your question straight away, I am a votary of not reservation, but definitely to help our poor brothers and sisters and their children by way of affirmative action.
Right, sir. I get. I think we can sum up with just one last question. This is about Article 44, the Uniform Civil Code that we were talking about. So there have been questions whether this would lead to the infringement of the right to practice religion, sir.
No, not at all. Not at all. If I say that Uniform Civil Code means a Hindu code, or a Muslim law, or a Christian law, then it is a violation.
Right.
If I say you take the best practices of all the laws and make a code, a civil code, but we have to change our mindset first of all.
Right, sir. So I think you've almost answered all the questions over here. I think I've done it justice to the remaining of the participants because they've been asking similar sort of questions. And without any further ado, I'll just hand over the rostrum to Harini so that she can invite our next speaker.
Yes, Ashwin, thank you. And thank you once again, sir, for that wonderful and detailed lecture by pointing out the peculiar issues in our society. And also thank you for answering all the questions very patiently, sir. And we have reached the end of today's session. As all things must come to an end, so is today's event. I humbly welcome our beloved Assistant Professor, Dr. Manjula ma'am, to render the vote of thanks. Ma'am is known for her calm and composed nature, and I'm so glad to be inviting her to take over the platform. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Harini. Good evening, sir. Good evening to one and all present here. It is such an honor for me to get this opportunity to thank you all dignitaries. On behalf of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar University, I extend a warm welcome to all the people in this August gathering. I would like to express my gratitude to all esteemed delegates of the lecture series for their presence and contribution to make a grand success. I would like to extend my gratitude to our chief guest today, Professor Paramjit Singh Jaswal sir, Honorable Vice-Chancellor, SRM University, New Delhi, to take out time from his busy schedule to grace this event. Thank you very much, sir, for inspiring and encouraging us with your words on this special day. So you have highlighted so many constitutional provisions, particularly with reference to directive principles of state policy, that is Articles 37, 38, and 39. You have very clearly and elaborately highlighted all those articles, and you have highlighted about the Uniform Civil Code also. That is actually I am teaching personal laws and UG courses, so I am very much fond of actually asking about the Uniform Civil Code, and I am actually dreamt about when the Uniform Civil Code will come into force. So that is also the very important feature that you have established and very much expressed about all those things. And also you have highlighted about the constitutional duty regarding or relating to social justice very elaborately. Thank you very much, sir, for inspiring and encouraging us with your words on this special day. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
And a special thanks to our Honorable Vice-Chancellor, sir, Professor Dr. N.S. Santosh Kumar, sir, Honorable Vice-Chancellor, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar University, for providing immense support and guidance to make this lecture series possible. Sir's contribution and guidance playing a vital role in conducting so many programs by all the departments of this university. Thank you very much, sir, for your unstinted support for making these type of programs a reality. And also, I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. V. Balaji, sir, respected Registrar of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar University, for his immense support and contribution to happen all these kinds of programs in the university. And I also extend my gratitude to Dr. R. Srinivas, Controller of Examinations, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar University, for the support and guidance. And I extend my thanks to Dr. Kumaratna Madam, Director PG Studies, and Dr. Bharita Devi Madam, Director Research and Publications of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar University, for their timely contribution and support. And it is also my duty to express my sincere gratitude to the HODs of all the departments of this university and also the other faculties of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar University, and that is staff members who are actually supporting continuously for all the programs which are actually done like this. And also, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Professor Dr. Raghunatha Reddy sir for his valuable presence today. I also extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Ashok Kumar sir, for librarian, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar University, for his constant technical support. And also, I would like to extend my special thanks to Mr. Darwin for the technical support always. And I also thank all the faculties from various law colleges and universities throughout the country for their valuable presence today. And an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheel started rolling weeks ago. It requires proper planning as well as a bird's eye view for details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated coordinators, both faculties as well as students. So it is my duty to express my heartfelt thanks to the convener of this program, Dr. Redivari Revathi Madam, co-convener Dr. Edmale sir, and Mr. Jay Ganesh, and the student coordinators Harini and yes, Ashwin. And also they have been actually working for the past couple of weeks for the purpose of making this program to be done very successfully. So their tireless efforts for making this program grand success will have to be saluted. So that is what I would like to thank all the coordinators, faculties, as well as students at this moment. Last but not the least, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all the participants who have participated from various parts of the country. So before leaving this chance, that I would like to just leave with a quote of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar about social justice. We are having this liberty in order to reform our social system, which is full of inequality, discrimination, and other things, which conflict with our fundamental rights. So with this, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all the participants as well as the dignitaries for making this program a grand success. Thank you very much all once again for making this day a great day. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
A special thanks to Harini and Ashwin for conducting it so well.
Very special thanks to Harini and Ashwin.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Very well
Thank
done.
you.
Keep it up. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for
Thank
making
you.
this program grand success.
Thank you so much, sir. I must remark, it's been a very splendid session today. And finally, as ma'am, I'd just like to extend my thanks to the participants for choosing to be a part of our lecture. And I'm obliged to remind you that we'll be sending a feedback form on the chat box. Please remember to fill this chat box, the feedback form on the chat box all the days so that we can provide you with a certificate of participation. And thank you once again. And I hope to see you all tomorrow. We can wind up.
Give the feedback to me as well.
Sure, sir.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
send it to you
Yes.
by mail.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, madam. It was
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
For spending your valuable time with us, sir. So thank you very much.
Okay. I'm leaving the meeting.
Yeah, we are very much blessed, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Shall we wind up the session?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We just sent the feedback form, so let them.
Feedback form, send them.
Yes.
Can we send sir all the questions through mail, ma'am? Is it possible, ma'am? The unanswered questions.
Okay, we'll in a nutshell form we can give.
Yes, ma'am. So let's make a note of it, ma'am.